Remember the story that we covered about the white woman who got a bunch of money for calling a child, well, racist, derogatory terms? Well, that person has now been charged. All right. So we're going to take you back to that, give you the update. Here it is.
You call him the child? Call the child. It is my own business. You call him. Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Say.
You'll go digging through people's
Somebody digging to you.
A little just dig, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him the little child?
What if he acts like one? He's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act.
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech.
Put her up full mass. She wanted all of this. Okay. According to many, she got famous and enriched because she had the audacity to call a child the N-word. As somebody called her out for it, and all of a sudden she became a champion of free speech. A champion of free speech. We have a major update. The deemed racist playground Karen, who fundraised a whopping $800,000 after calling a child the N-word, has now been charged. Minnesota prosecutors filed misdemeanor disorderly conduct charges Tuesday against the woman accused of using racial slurs against a black child at a playground. An incident the woman has since used to raise more than $800,000 after she appealed for help with relocating, quote, defendant wrongfully and unlawfully engaged in offensive, obscene, abusive, boisterous, or noisy conduct, or in offensive, obscene, or abusive language that would reasonably tend to arouse alarm, anger, or resentment in others, the criminal complaint alleges. Put her picture back up. This law is rarely used, but often mentioned on Indisputable. When I talk about words that incite response or reaction, this is what I'm referring to. It is a misdemeanor. It is a misdemeanor to engage in such conduct and expect that conduct to be protected by your freedom of speech. It is not. You are inciting a riot or inciting riotous response. This is a watered down version of that very common law found in many jurisdictions around the country. That she is now charged with unlawfully engaging in offensive, obscene, abusive, boisterous, and offensive conduct by way of what she was saying. Here's another dynamic. If you do it in the state of Georgia, utilizing profanity in front of a minor or utilizing profanity at a minor is a chargeable offense in the state of Georgia and many other states in the South. This state doesn't quite have that law, but they have one that's akin to it. And that's utilizing your language in order to create disturbance in this way. So the woman was charged by summons. Okay, she was charged by summons with 3 counts of disorderly conduct. Each count carries a maximum penalty of 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine, though actual sentences in Minnesota tend to be much lighter. Her arraignment is going to be on October 29th. We will bring you the update. She has now received over $800,000 in donations. Her goal is set at $1 million, okay? So she's going to pay at maximum $3,000 in order to have $1 million, okay? Shiloh says she has received every dime from the fundraiser. Miss Shiloh got all the money. Shiloh Hendrix claims all of the money from the fundraiser. Here it is.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shiloh Hendrix. I wanted to take a little time to talk to you all about what's been going on with my fundraiser and kind of the aftermath of the park situation. There are a lot of people who think that this has all been a scam, that I haven't been getting my money, and that it's not going to me. I have gotten every dime of my money. When I first found out that the park video was going viral, it was terrifying. I went on X and I saw Anglo-Saxon Girl had posted my video. I messaged her and I was like, hey, that's me. Just kind of needing somebody like-minded to talk to. I did not realize I was going to have so much support and have all of you people rally around me and have my back in this situation. And it was very overwhelming.
In the 1960s, we had heroes like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph David Abernathy, Reverend Joseph Lowry, and others who spoke up when their speech would actually cause them to die. People were killing Black folk for speaking up for righteous causes, like good things, advocating for unity, for love, tolerance, the respect of one's rights. 2025. Heroes in America are people like Shiloh Hendrix, who called a 5-year-old the N-word. She now has something called supporters because she got caught calling a 5-year-old the N-word. You think it's the first time she's done something like this? But she's a hero. She has supporters. Those supporters support her so much, they're willing to give her money to show their support, not of her freedom, but because they're living through her by proxy. They wish they could get away with calling a Black
Right.
person, even if it's a child, the N-word. They wish it was them. And since it's not them, they will pay the person who they can live vicariously through. And that's Miss Hendrix. Okay? She also has a message for her now supporters. Here it is.
I also just want to say how proud I am of everybody and just showing what can happen if we tribe up and if we stick together and if we keep fighting back. Our future, our existence depends on standing up for ourselves and not backing down. And we just have to keep on going. There's no other option. I mean, what else are we going to do? You can't be afraid of words. Don't be afraid of the people who are so fragile to a word. We are in the process of looking for a home. We have looked at some, getting out of the state and starting a new life. And I want to have a quiet life. I don't plan on, being an influencer. I don't plan on doing interviews. That's just not something that I would ever want to do. It's not on my agenda. So maybe someday, but I don't foresee it happening anytime soon.
Put a picture back up full mass here. This woman believes she is a modern day Nelson Mandela, being prosecuted for her racist beliefs that have no righteousness whatsoever. At least Mandela was prosecuted for righteous beliefs. Mandela was placed in prison because his supporters really believed in him and the cause. And then he was justified. He was justified at the end of that. Madam, you will not be justified. As a matter of fact, here's the beautiful thing about it. You know that child you call the N-word? Like it or not, that child will become your leader one day. At that time, if you're still living, you will be old and decrepit. But that child will be your leader. That child will have a leadership position in this country, and their worldview will be shaped by your ignorance. And instead of giving you what you gave that child is going to give you something that you never gave him. And that's called love. Love, tolerance, respect, dignity. Hopefully, it teaches you something before you expire to your next destination. After the incident, the boys' family said they no longer feel safe in the community. The NAACP Rochester chapter, we reported on this from day one, started its own fundraising campaign that we've been supporting. They started this to protect and to support the child's family. The GoFundMe page has raised $340,000 when it was closed Saturday per the wishes of the family, who want privacy, said the civil rights organization. It was speaking on behalf of the family of the child, who the organization says the child is on the autism spectrum. Quote, this was not simply offensive behavior. It was an intentional, racist, threatening, hateful, and verbal attack against a child. And it must be treated as such, the NAACP chapter said in a statement, quote, given the sensitive and complicated nature of this case, along with the high level of public attention, completing the necessary reviews and conversations with the victim's family took longer than usual. The office of the city attorney, Michael Spender Craig, said in a statement explaining the lengthy investigation. The office is basically saying, we always plan to get to Ms. Hendrix and to fix these charges. But because of the complex nature and sensitivities involved, it took us longer than usual to complete the investigation. But now charges are fixed. And to be frank with you, when you look statutory, by statute, you can't really get more charges than what you see on the record right now. It would be hard to make a case because freedom of speech has vast protections, but she did veer into that lane of boisterous and offensive behavior, given the video recording that we do have. All right, Jackson, thoughts here?
She said Rosa Parks sat so I could call little 5-year-olds the N-word.
Right.
We done made these sacrifices. We passed the civil rights bill, man. I thought I had the right to do this. You know, I mean, this comes across to me. First and foremost, it was hilarious that she said an Anglo-Saxon girl. Like, how very specific of you.
Right.
But also, you know, just the framing of this whole thing, you know, like this, like, oh, I finally found my purpose. Now I'm walking in some shoes that are worthwhile. I mean, this whole thing is so hollow. You know, like what happened obviously was wrong and reprehensible, but all that happened was she called a child the N-word. And just because of that, she got almost $1 million. Yeah. Like that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like she didn't fight for some real conservative stronghold. She didn't get no law passed. She didn't lead a movement. All she did was inappropriately call a child a name. And then she flipped it like, well, that's all I did. And she got $1 million for it. That's life-changing money. Like if she invests that right, sits on it well, she really don't got to worry about nothing else. Perhaps not. But this is one of the biggest reasons, again, for something so simple and just wrong on its face. It's simple, but it's wrong to garner this much support. This is why I don't let the American public off the hook for putting Donald Trump back in office.
Right.
You know, it's like there's so much blame to go around for the Democratic establishment and Kamala Harris's campaign and what have you. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump's movement is about that. Is about this story that we're talking about right now. That's primarily what it's all about. And that's showcased when people donate $800,000 for a woman who called a child the N-word. And she thinks that she really is standing up for something and fighting for freedom. But this is still a huge issue in society. And this is obviously why we're talking about it today and why we talk about it continuously. But it's really just a shame and it's a joke.
Yeah. And there was a time in American society when she would have been shamed publicly.
Right.
And the family of the child would have been publicly praised and supported. There would be no competition in the narrative as far as who's justified. It was a child being called the N-word by an adult. Very sad. We'll bring you updates as they come on those charges.